Hey, how you doing this morning? Hey, Grant, how are you this morning?
Hey Dennis, I'm doing good. How are you?
No complaints.
It's always
No
good.
complaint. Yeah. Hey, Jack, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Every time I think I'm caught up, I get an avalanche swooping in on me of things to do, and my housekeeping keeps getting pushed back.
Well, remember, housekeeping is low acuity activity.
That's why it keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah. What's the avalanche you're getting?
Oh, I am still getting response from my newsletter.
Oh,
I used a photo of one of my farmers using our logo on his packaging and his business card.
uh-huh.
That sparked a couple of inquiries from farms to want to do the same. But
Yep.
one of the larger beef and cattle farms in the state saw it. They're on my mail list. They don't call me about it. They call the Cattlemen's Association and say, we should put the logo on locally produced beef. How do we do that? And so the Cattlemen Association executive director calls me and says, yeah, we'd like to kind of do this. And can we talk about what it takes to do it at some point? I said, I can tell you in 10 seconds. It's you be a member and you have a letter saying you're authorized to use the logo and find and have a processor who'll slap it on there. And he said, well, we'd like you to do a short article for our monthly magazine and a presentation on it during the annual conference.
Oh, too funny. Wow. Well, I mean, do you guys have more than one logo?
It's one logo. There's variations of it. There's a black and white one. There's a one color green, and I think there's a two color and a four color, and I think they got it down. They were doing all these crazy things. Earlier, they were doing like agriculture, beef, aquaculture, and aquaculture has its own separate, its own version. It's a different color scheme.
I see.
It's the same image, but just it's blue.
I see.
But they got rid of that because you had to trademark every single one of them. So we just did it where you can do the logo and then you can put your product or commodity right above or below it.
I see.
And it's not part of the trademark, but you're identifying your commodity.
I got you. I have seen some people include the Got to Be NC and the North Carolina Specialty Foods, at least on a website. I don't think I've seen it on packaging.
Yeah. A few people do, including, and one of the things we're now going to try to do is get people not only who are using the old Got to Be NC logo, but its predecessor from over 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Which was the Goodness Grows in North Carolina logo.
Yeah.
It still survives. And because nobody's ever tried to get them to update.
Yeah.
But I've tried to get it pushed, and we, obviously like the recognition of the brand.
Yeah. Yeah, you froze up on us, Jack. I don't know if Jack can hear us or not. Okay, well, Jack,
North
hopefully
Carolina with having a clean label.
Okay. You froze up on us for a little bit. I thought we lost you. Welcome back. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, you just have to balance, using the label to tie into buy local North Carolina and having a clean label that's not all cluttered up with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think it's wonderful. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. Today, we're going to take a shot at actually creating KPIs or looking at a process to create them. So this might get a little wonky, but I do think it's worth kind of going through the process and how you might do it in your particular circumstance. May vary widely, as people say. So let's hit it. And I did want to say one thing though, and now my mind is gone. It was some about one of you all. Well, I'll think of it and hopefully I'll remember. Okay. Share screen.
Company. How will we prepare? You need 3 colors of sticky notes. So if you are direct to a customer, 2 sticky notes are probably fine. If you're an indirect customer, like a B to B to C or some kind of indirect, you'll want 3 colors because you're actually going to have to be paying attention not to your customer, but to your customer's customer, because that matters too in your business. Get a whiteboard, get a surface, a wall, a door, anything that a sticky note can stick to. And we're going to go through and first start out by revealing how a customer is made within your company. So first thing, you basically write down $ signs and you stick it on the whiteboard. Because ultimately, every successful business is going to have money somewhere in the customer's journey. If it doesn't, congratulations, you're running a hobby, and that will come to an end fairly soon. So you ultimately have to find a place where money comes in the door. So start there. If you're pre-product, pre-revenue, welcome to the land of guessing. You're going to be guessing about a lot of this stuff, but it's super important for you to articulate your guesses. The number one way I see founding teams struggle pre-product, pre-revenue is a basic fundamental misunderstanding among the founders of who the customer is and what journey that customer takes on the road to giving you money. So once you have the dollars up there, ask yourself the question, what does the customer experience immediately preceding paying us money. This isn't what you do, this is what your customers experience. So throughout all of this, it's going to be super tempting to say, oh, what do we do next? Please don't do that. Reframe it as, what is our customer experience? Write those on the stickies. You can draw arrows that say this leads into that. Then you'll see a bunch, the next thing is, okay, what happens before that? So as you see here, we're kind of building out maybe the front end of the funnel, the channel side of this, the what happens to the customer as they come in to give us money. After they pay you money, they presumably are going to experience at least product in their hands, the value that you promised them. But there may be other things that they're experiencing. Then you may bounce back all the way to the front end and go, like, what are all the things the customers are doing before they even know we're here? Like, what prompts their problem? What's the situation they're in that makes them think, there's got to be a better way than this, to then look to you for an answer. And then there may be a viral or referral piece of your business, so you want to make sure and capture that. So the customers may experience like that top line referring you to a friend. Again, it's not what's going on in your world, it's what's going on in their world. Then we think about what are the spots along this journey where the customer is gaining the most value, and how do we measure what's going on inside the company as a proxy to the value that our customers are getting. So these are the value KPIs. It's important to start with value KPIs. So if you have to get one of these right, initially get the value KPI right, because if you're not building a valuable business, it's going to be super hard to grow that business. Then ask yourself the question, assuming we have value here, where are our growth KPIs? Where are we going to measure that we're able to more effectively bring people into the fold? And then ultimately pick the 2 or 3 KPIs that you want to track and pay attention to during Techstars. So these are the things that you're going to watch to help you understand, communicate, build shared understanding around the progress you're making while you're in Techstars. One of these may be what you put up on the demo day traction slide, but I encourage you don't only have that one up there, because that will kind of generally fall into that investor bucket. To the extent possible, try to get some understanding up into that behavioral leading section, the management KPIs. Okay, so I'd like to introduce you to Jack. Jack sells lemonade at his lemonade stand. Now notice Jack takes Bitcoin, which is your first clue that Jack is not a normal 9-year-old. He's actually, this is when he was 9, I think he's 11 now. This is a picture I took when he came into Techstars Boulder and set up his lemonade stand and sold lemonade to us during program. And then we invited him into our pitch practice. And it was one of the earlier pitch practices. He gets up and does a spot perfect, it was a little long for Techstars standards, 9-minute, fully memorized, no flaws pitch of his business. And like, he really humbled some of the CEOs, because you're right in that spot where you'll experience this, where you're in pitch practice and you're like, oh, for the love of all sanity, make this stop. I just can't do this anymore. That's sort of right when we intentionally brought him in. And he just nailed it. There's another kind of interesting wrinkle to Jack's business, though, which is I'd like to introduce you to Jack's customer. This is not someone drinking lemonade. Jack's customer is another kid who wants to sell lemonade. So he has a turnkey franchise operation, I'm not joking, where kids come in, they go onto Jack's website, they sign up for his stand, it comes with lemonade, it comes with everything. He helps the kids understand profit and loss. He does a revenue share with them, so he shows them how to set it up, he shows them how to run it. Then he goes away, they run the stand, he comes back, he teaches them how to close the books, does all of this. There's another piece of Jack that's a little bit unique, which is, yes, Jack was on the tank. So let's learn a little bit more about Jack's business from Jack's own words.
Next into the tank is a kid entrepreneur who wants to help other kids fulfill their entrepreneurial aspirations.
Hi Sharks, my name is Jack Bonneau. I'm the founder and CEO of Jack's Stands and Marketplaces, and I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Hi Sharks, I'm Steve Bonneau. I'm Jack's dad. I work for Jack.
Sharks, I'm seeking $50,000 in exchange for 10% of my company. I'm 10 years old, but when I was 8 years old, I really wanted a Lego set, but it cost $400. The good news was my dad said I could have it.
But he'd have to pay for it with his own money.
So I did what most of you probably would do. I started my own lemonade stand. After 12 weeks, I made $900 after expenses,
Wow.
learned some valuable lessons, and yes, I got my Lego Death Star. The experience is exactly why I created Jack Stands and Marketplaces. Jack Stands and Marketplaces provides kids and their families opportunities to learn about entrepreneurship, business, financial literacy, while having fun and making some money. We provide everything except their mood and their enthusiasm. Jack Stands offers kids the opportunity to sell lemonade and other drinks. We offer kids the opportunity to sell more than just lemonade. Jack's Marketplaces provides young entrepreneurs the opportunity to sell their products in authentic and great marketplaces and have kids sell those great products and tell the inspirational stories of these young entrepreneurs,
So Sharks, our challenge and question to you is, who wants to make money?
while inspiring our nation's youth in entrepreneurship.
So what we're going to do here is go through and model what you'll be doing for your business, but we're first going to start out with Jack's business. We'll do this kind of as an interactive session here. All right, so yes, Jack makes money. It was kind of funny when he did his pitch at Techstars, about half our companies at that time were pre-revenue. So when Jack got done, I whispered to him, like, you're making more money than about half the companies in this room. Another good way to fire up entrepreneurs. Okay, so Jack makes money. What do Jack's customers experience immediately before they pay Jack money?
They want to buy Lego sets.
Okay, so they have some kind of need. So that probably happens kind of actually more kind of over here. Excitement. Excitement, okay. Maybe that's kind of around in here, let's say. Okay, what else? What happens right before Jack makes money?
They're convinced that they need to start their own gigs to make money.
So they want to start a business?
They probably talk to Jack.
Okay. They actually end up, I'm going to modify that, because I did mention Jack's not your normal 11-year-old. He has a website that's pretty turnkey. So you go to Jack's website and sign up there. It takes money, takes Bitcoin, obviously. Okay. So on the website, they look at price.
They realize that it's easy enough for them to do.
Okay.
They have to convince their parents to pay for it.
There you go. So maybe that's over here. I'll move this here. That was actually the answer I was trying to guide you toward, which is in order for Jack to get paid, somebody's got to put a credit card in. I'll give you a little hint here too, because Jack's pretty smart. He actually makes money at 2 different points in this transaction. So I'll put another dollar sign up there. So he does a revenue share. So what is the customer experience?
Agree to a contract.
Okay, so there's a contract.
Customer has to make a sale first.
Yep, so they've got to make a sale.
Some training involved.
Yep, the customer's experience with training.
Customer has to pay Jack.
Yeah, so there's this credit card, and then over here, there's the split at the end of the day. Believe Jack takes 50%?
No.
Makes, he makes some pretty good coin here. Lots of Lego sets now. Okay, what else does the customer experience?
Customer needs to learn what revenue sharing is.
Okay. I'll capture that as rev share ups and downs. You mean I worked all day and I gave you half my money? So maybe that comes after sharing the transaction, the money.
There's probably some kind of commercial,
Okay.
some kind of video that people are watching.
Jack has a really good PR team. He was on the Today Show. He's been our local paper a ton. So yeah, kind of down here maybe there's a commercial that gets them excited.
Investment anxiety for the customer,
Okay.
for the investor.
There needs to be some kind of convincing of the parents and something that's angled.
Yeah, so there's kind of the Ask Parent. He's got a separate part of his website that's all geared toward that. So maybe there's some anxiety kind of around here. So let's.
Training.
What's up?
Training.
Yeah, so when he comes right here, he shows up and trains them how. Now he provides all the lemonade, all the cups, all the ice. He rents the permits for the farmers markets and the spaces and things like this. So if you think about his cost of goods, the 50% doesn't seem quite as loan sharky, but it's still a lot.
How does he find these kids?
Yeah, so if we think of the front end of the funnel, the question is, how do you find the customers? So what's the experience of the customer coming in? So he's got commercials. He's got, the tank was good. Yes, so there's customers.
Oh, yeah. Customers of customers.
Yes, so that's a good place to switch now. So because Jack is indirect, his customers have customers. So let's spend just like 1 or 2 sessions here on what is.
I just want to take a second here to kind of point out what's happening here. Forgetting Jack for a minute, what you have here is essentially free association. You have a room full of people that have been primed or oriented toward what's going on here in terms of understanding it. But notice what the instructor is doing. He's not really arguing with anybody. He just writes down what they say, and then he puts it on a whiteboard in some sort of order, which he'll explain in a little bit. And this process is actually, if any of you have ever worked with a firm like IDEO or Frog Design or any of the big design companies, this is exactly what they do. This is the exact process. The only difference that I've seen is, and I have been through it with IDEO. IDEO incidentally invented the Apple mouse, just to give you an idea. But they use different color stickies for different areas of the business instead of using all the same color. So at the end of a session there's just all these colors on the board, and then some poor bastard has to copy it all down. You take a picture or write it all down. But this process is really used by a lot of the major consumer product goods companies, others, and there's no reason why you can't do it, even if it's a smaller group, it's your family, it's people you know, maybe it's a handful of customers. This sort of thing can be done by anybody, and the organizing aspect of it is using a board like this or some way of getting what the people say and putting it up there, and then trying to figure out where it fits on a priority perspective. And he's going to go into this in a little more detail, but I did want to point out that this technique is available to all of you, even if you don't have a room full of people just hollering stuff out. And we could even have, if it's something that people are interested in, we can do this in the class. We actually have a virtual whiteboard that we can use. So that's something that if there's interest in that, we can certainly do that.
Jack's customers experience, because now this may actually be a little bit easier, because now you can put yourself in the mindset of not a franchisee or somebody renting a lemonade stand, but just somebody buying lemonade. So what does that experience look like?
It's a really well-oiled lemonade machine or stack.
Yeah.
Replicated on something. Yeah, they like it, they see it, they're like, wow, this thing's really together.
Okay.
They're like, this thing is a legit lemonade stand.
They're thirsty.
There's a brand, positive brand.
Okay, so it's maybe after kind of over here, because this is now where he's actually selling lemonade. So the customer comes up, he's like, wow, this is legit. Okay, what else?
If you're in Boulder or LA, it needs to be organic maybe. And
Yep.
taste good.
So how does the customer experience that? It's like, it's good lemonade? Okay.
It's gotta taste good and see the sun.
Customer might not have cash, so you have to deal with that.
Yep.
The customer's need, is it seasonal?
Yep, so in Colorado, it's seasonal. So how would you like me to capture that up here?
He sells more than lemonade, other products as well.
Okay.
Sense of choice, maybe.
So again, that's inward to Jack. So now how do his customers or his customers' customers experience that?
Desire for lemonade.
Okay, so we've got like location plays a big part of this. So we'll kind of leave that kind of over in here. There's
Really feel good thing, right?
Yeah.
Adults.
yeah.
Yeah, customers are like, this is really cute and funny.
Yep.
type of use, it's almost like entertainment.
So there's maybe kind of a feels good here, which is part of that referral loop. You already talked about it, which is maybe the customer says, hey, I want to sign up for this. And that's now that part of that viral referral loop that comes in. So this shows us how to map your customer journey. And then if you have a customer's customer like Jack does, you can start mapping a little bit of Jack's customer's journey. So now let's focus on value KPIs. So now instead of thinking about the customer, now we would turn inward into Jack. How does Jack know he's running a valuable business? What would he measure to give him some indications that he's running a valuable business?
Making money.
So money, yep, ultimate lagging indicator.
Number of franchisees.
Okay. Number of franchisees.
Number of new sign-up franchisees.
Okay, so that'll kind of come in here. Signups was, that kind of comes in here before the contract.
Views on the website.
Views on the website, yep. So here, referral rate.
Percentage of franchises who stay in business.
So repeat customers, okay.
I was gonna say conversion rate, like conversion to sell to buy the franchise.
Okay, so conversion rate. Again, if we think of flow metrics, how do we make that like by channel or by some period of time?
Well, however often they're doing KPIs, maybe like weekly or monthly.
So conversions by channel per week, does that work?
Sure.
Cool.
And seasonally too.
Yeah, so there's a seasonal component to this, which is,
But if
you
he's
may-
on Shark Tank, it's not seasonal anymore, because he must have got people from all over the country calling him.
yeah, he's actually figured out a way to sort of franchise the franchise. But yeah, seasonality does play a role in, his marketing campaigns and other things. It's funny, he does follow line tracking too. If you go to his website, I noticed as I was going to other websites, like his ads were following me around. I'm like, this kid's legit.
What's the churn rate? These
Okay.
kids probably have soccer
Churn.
practice, so like who's managing the stands where?
Yep, so there may be churn rate. That kind of is probably when they feel the revenue split, churn rate may be a good place to measure that.
Number of vendors who want to sell their products at his stands.
Okay, so
All of those vendors.
all right, number of vendors at his marketplace stands, because he actually gets revenue from that. Okay,
Do you know how far he's gotten with the marketplace model? And how big of a business it is for him?
yeah, so the question was for the, where's he gotten to? I noticed that he just, one of the organic juice companies, I don't know if they acquired him or hired him or if it's a PR stunt, but he's now representing them. And so when he linked into me a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, hey, new title. It's not Jack Stands anymore. He's like an ambassador for some organic juice company. Okay, so this is a good way. So now we've mapped out Jack's customer's journey. We've mapped out Jack's customer's journey where it matters. We've identified some KPIs. So now what do you think the top value KPI, if you were Jack, that you think you should be paying attention to? Of all of these yellow sticky notes up here, what are ones that you think from a value standpoint, like how best should he monitor and measure the value he's creating for his customers?
Referral rate.
Okay? So referral rate,
Repeat customers.
okay, repeat customers.
Churn rate.
So money here, churn rate. Okay, cool. So now we think about growth. How should Jack measure if he should throw more money into marketing, throw more money into the channel?
Signups.
Okay, signups, pretty clear one. Are there leading indicators he should be paying attention to on growth?
Overall overall growth in leads.
Okay, growth in leads. I actually like this conversions by channel.
Yeah.
That tends to be a really powerful leading indicator growth metric for consumer-based businesses. Okay, so now we've got some of these. This gives Jack a chance when he's running his business, he's doing his weekly ops review, he can now build the numbers around here. There's another important point of this, which is, are these even measurable? So you may get into these KPIs and Jack, or you could realize, oh wow, we have no way to measure that right now. That's fine. Note that as an aspiration and then ask yourself, okay, what can we measure today? Because I don't want you to spend like 5 weeks figuring out how to measure all this stuff and you make no progress, you just figure out how to instrument your company. Not in this environment. The key thing here is figure out the minimum effective dose that you can do tomorrow and start doing it lightly, review every week.
Okay. Well, that's kind of a non-technical way to think about this this process, and I encourage you to, you can watch the video again on the member resources part of the website. But I think he does a really good job of, and now this one is a little bit more complicated because he's got a guy who has other customers other than ones that deal with him directly, right? He's a franchisor or whatever the right word is. So that's a layer of complexity. Maybe that applies to your wholesale side of your business for some of you. I'm not quite sure. But that idea of using these sticky notes categorically and putting it in a way visually where you can see it, I found to be really helpful. And I've been in a number of companies where that board is up on the CEO's wall, or in a boardroom or some sort of room off the office, and maybe a little bit neater and so forth, so you can see it. But the idea of getting a sense of the customer journey, I hate that word customer journey. It sounds so bullshitty, but the idea that the path that the customer takes to you, and to evaluate the various steps along that way, will give you KPIs or important things to kind of watch and keep track of. And if you think back to Simon Sinek, which we saw early on, this whole idea of kind of a 360-degree view, not just a narrow little view, but a big view. That will help you a lot with this process. If you think just in terms of how many items I sold, that's kind of like a lot of transactional businesses where it's just sheer numbers. There's no really effort to think about how the funnel gets filled, how people progress through it, how they come back. Returning customers versus getting new ones is a really important KPI. Just from a cost perspective, I would argue that to get somebody who's already done business with you to buy again is much less expensive than trying to find another new customer, depending on what you're selling. But I think these are all indicators or methods of thinking this through. And I know that some of you have an orientation toward planning and process. We have a guy who went through the school, through the class a while ago. Some of you may remember Tom Morse. He's the guy who had the plunger, the weird plunger. He happens to be an expert on forecasting and using spreadsheets. He got it from his previous life as a corporate manager, and he is willing to help any of you that if you want help setting up a model for projections and that sort of thing. He's really, really good, and he has helped several people in our class over time. So I do recommend that if you're having trouble, kind of coming up with the spreadsheet or whatever it is that you're going to use to track this. So let me open up the floor to any of you who may want to ask some questions or have some reactions to what we've seen today.
I personally would love to do that in the class myself. I think that would be an awesome way to figure out the KPIs and just learn through the process. Me personally, I'm more of a hands-on. So I think that would be awesome if anybody else wants to do that.
Yeah, I can set that up. I'll have to teach myself how to use the whiteboard, which shouldn't be that hard. They just added it to Zoom, so I'm assuming it's not that difficult. But yeah, I'm more than willing to do that. So let's figure out a time. And any of you who want to participate, even if it's just a segment, right, of your business, not the whole thing. There may be a certain area that you need a little help in, or a push, or whatever. So yeah, I'm happy to do that. I will tell you the story. So it's a long story, but I basically was referred to this company IDEO out in San Francisco, and I had a consumer product that I was trying to do, I guess, try to launch. And we actually spent 5 days with these stickies, 5 days, and each day was a different section or category. And by the end of it, it really was helpful in putting a wrapper around and bringing up all the things you have to think about, but in a way where you can see them in context. You see them in the flow. He talked about flow dynamics in that video. That whole idea of understanding the flow of your business is kind of it's a little bit of a new agey thing, but it is taught in the major business schools. This flow, this customer journey is another word. These are all things that that actually can help you. You just have to kind of think it through on your own particular case in your own business. But I think we'd all agree that Jack is a hustler. The lemonade guy. I don't know. I have a feeling Dad had something to do with it. If they did a little background on who that dad is, I think you might find some of the evidence of where this stuff is coming from. I'm just saying. I don't know. Using a little kid, it doesn't seem that right, does it? Anyway, anyone else wanna jump in here? Okay, I know Sana wants to. I can feel it through the Zoom. Go ahead, Sana.
No, I just turned my camera on. That was it. I didn't really have anything to add, but yeah, I would love to. Like Don said, if there's a class, I would love to be a part of that.
Okay.
I was actually just messaging Ashley, and I was telling her that this stuff kind of gives me corporate flashbacks and kind of like PTSD a little bit. But it's good. It's good.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Well, I'll set up a day where all comers, and we can attempt to do this sticky thing or the equivalent of it. And I think that'd be a lot of fun. I had to cancel tomorrow's class because I have to go to a board meeting, kind of a special board meeting that wasn't planned. So unfortunately, you get to have a really long 4th of July break. And then after the 4th, particularly, I'm looking forward to Andy Kurtz talking to you all and explaining his idea of how he can help you all much easier and less costly than it has been in the past. So I think that will be really good. Somebody's chatting me here. Let me see what that says. Oh, okay, great. All right. Well, that's all I have, folks. If you get a chance to watch that video again, it's really good, I think. And it turns kind of a concept into something practical and something you can actually see how to do. And the other thing that you can do with it, you can apply it just to segments of your business. It doesn't have to be your entire business, right? You can reduce packaging decisions to a flow, a workflow. You can marketing. A lot of these things can be reduced to a process flow, and then can be used those sticky notes or other ways to kind of identify that process. Because as you grow and as you're in business longer, you actually have more things to keep track of, right? What you start with is, I would argue, relatively easier than once you've got a lot of things to think about. But this process of visually seeing how things go, I'm a visual person, which is why my desk looks like an insane asylum, because if I can see it, I can find it, right? If I put it away, it may as well be thrown in the trash. And so that's just me. So I love this kind of stuff. Some of you are probably a lot more organized than me and don't have to have everything physically in front of you, but I do. So anyway. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll work on a day that we can do this once I'm convinced I can actually operate the whiteboard. And I don't know how you do a sticky virtually. That's going to be interesting, but we'll figure out something. I have no doubt. Thanks,
Happy
everybody. Happy 4th to everybody. Bye-bye.
Yes.